We have to talk about burnout. And I think what's really happening is far more than just the work that we do. I think there's something bigger at play here that is leading us down this path where so many people feel burnt out. They feel burnt out regardless of the effort that they put in, regardless of how hard they work, all the things that they try. At the end of the day, we end up feeling unfulfilled. We feel purposeless. We are just lost, and it brings on stress and anxiety that ultimately eats away at us, both mentally but also even our physical health. The truth is that we are experiencing burnout. I think that burnout is getting worse and worse, or at least people are becoming more and more vocal about the burnout that they're experiencing. However, I don't actually think it's about the work that we're doing. I don't even think it's about the companies that we work for. I think that there's something much deeper at play. And I think it's a spiritual thing. I think the burnout that so much of the world is experiencing right now is a spiritual problem far more than it is a work problem. So many people have fallen into this trap, and we have bought this very well crafted sales pitch that the world has provided us. This sales pitch to show us what it means to be successful, what it means to get ahead, what's going to make you happy in life. And ultimately, we have let that plan and all of its features, being money and careers and titles, and we have let those things take the place of God in our lives. And when that happens, there's no doubt that burnout is going to quickly follow. The Bible talks about how our hearts will be where our treasure is, right? So where you are treasuring up things, that is where your heart is. And when we fall into this trap of chasing and putting our identity into these things like titles and money and promotions, as we treasure up those things, of course, our hearts are going to lean into that direction. And when they start to lean into that direction, they're going to inherently lean away from God. And God is who provides us the purpose and the fulfillment that so many of us are looking for. The real issue is that work will not fulfill you. Work is not even supposed to fulfill you. As someone who has spent most of my career building out org structures and jobs and things like that, I can without a doubt tell you, never once in all of that time have I considered someone's purpose or how fulfilled they're going to be. It's strictly about fulfilling a role for a certain price point for a certain number of hours, and it's very cut and dry. Work is and should be, now and forever, a support system. It is a means to an end. We are going to work to fulfill a certain function, get paid for the work that we do, and then we take that money, the freedom, the benefits, and we go and we use that to support the lives that we want. Not put work at the center of our lives, making that the be-all, end-all in our lives. This is more important today than it ever has been because the corporate world has changed. The days of loyalty and values and this family atmosphere driving the corporate behaviors, those days have long been gone. Unless you're working at a small family business, there is almost no consideration for those things anymore. Now it's far less about purpose and loyalty and values, and it's more about profits and growth and opportunities for productivity and proficiency and just speeding up everything. It's not about the employees anymore at all. It's just about the product and how can we pump that out as fast as we can. Now, God does call all of us, and we all have a purpose in life. I think where we go astray is that we often misinterpret what that purpose must mean. I know as someone who grew up in church myself, I used to think as a child, that the only callings were a youth minister, a pastor, or a music minister. Then as you get older, you realize, okay, well, I'm not going to do those three things, so what else is there? And we inherently start looking for purpose and for calling in a certain job. But the truth is that purpose is more often found in who you are and far less in what you do. For myself, for instance, I believe God has a purpose for me. I don't always know where he's leading. I don't always understand why he's calling me in the directions I think he's calling me into. But what I do know is that my purpose in life is tied heavily to being a good husband to my wife, being a good father to my kids, being a good friend, a good son, a good example. Those are the things that I know God has a purpose for me, because he's given me those things in my life for me to be a good steward over those things. I do not believe that God has called me to be a manager or to be an analyst or a salesman, right? We are called to be a light to the world around us. That does not mean that your job is your calling or that your job is your identity. Who you are as a person, that is where your purpose will be found. And God will show you what you need to do once you've let go of trying to go out there and find your purpose out in the world. When you slow down and you commit to giving yourself over to God and to where he's leading you, you won't even want to chase a lot of those things that you're chasing right now. I know that's been true in my own life, and I believe that that will be true in your life. And if we get this wrong, we are almost begging to be unfulfilled, because we will be searching for fulfillment and purpose out there in a place where there is no fulfillment or purpose to be found. That's not to say that God can't use you in your careers or God can't use you out there in the world. But even when he's using you out there, it's still God and who you are that's the purpose. You're just fulfilling it out there in the world somewhere. Not to be confused with your purpose is out there somewhere. This is amplified by the way work has taken over. We do more work today than ever. We can process more units. We can get more done. We can do it quicker. And yet we're working the same hours we always have. And so we are doing more and more and more. And it takes up more and more and more of our lives. And so many of us are so willing to give work the extra hours. We stay late on those calls. We answer the phone after hours. We show up late to family things because we had projects at work to get done. And ultimately, when something that eats up that much of your life becomes unfulfilling and a frustration for you, of course it's going to negatively impact all the other areas of your life. And it's this discontentment that starts at work, but then slowly bleeds into the rest of your life, that really drives us to this point of this heightened sense of burnout that so many people are experiencing right now. If we can start to focus more on who we are and on what God has called us to in terms of our being, the people around us, the roles we're taking up outside of work, whether that's you're a husband, a father, a daughter, a mother, a son, whatever it is, right? Those people in your life who need you for who you are. When we start finding purpose and calling in those things, and we take our identity and our purpose and our calling out of the work that we do, you will find more peace in your life. You will be happier. You will find more joy, because then we will be pursuing what God has ultimately always called us to be. And we will stop pursuing what the world tells us we should be chasing. I hope this video encourages you. I think that we live in a time where we need to lean on God more than we ever have before. And I think if we can start looking to him for our purpose and going in that direction, we will get there so much faster than chasing all these things that the world tells us will make us happy and fulfilled and successful. So good luck pray, follow what God wants you to do. And I think you will find more peace and joy in your life, which is really what a successful life looks like.